Our team, so welcome back, Entry to IT, our second session. In the first session, we did create a folder in Google Drive. Then we added a Google document into it. And we started to align it in such a way that it makes it easier for the end user, the viewer, to read and be able to collaborate. So we've covered some of the features, like how do we put a header, how do we align images, how do we use shortcuts, alignment, tabbing, your bullet points, sub bullets. We have not yet seen a couple of things like tables, header and footer, links. Header and footer is done. Table of content, links, and tables. Images is something we've seen very briefly. What I'm going to do now, team, is I'm going to switch to a Microsoft Excel in a Google Drive, which is called Google Sheet. And we're going to play around a little bit over there. And then I will show you how to copy a table or information from any other place back into this Word document. So this is my entry to IT, Word doc, and it's there in the folder. In the same folder, I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. So what you're seeing right now is nothing but an online version of something very similar to Microsoft Excel. Mac has its own, Microsoft its own, Google has come up with its own online version. There's Office 360 and so on, which gives you access remotely as well. But Google Drive helps you to even manage things very well. So we will focus on Google Drive team, but again, the learning is the same for all of these. So what is a spreadsheet? Why do we need spreadsheet? Spreadsheet is basically to capture information in a very structured and organized way. That is the beginning. But the power of it comes when we do computations and it dynamically tries to tell us certain data points. So there's a lot that we can talk about in spreadsheets. I think we should be able to cover a fair bit about it. Where do we start? Let's first give it a name. Just like your Google Doc, on the top left is your name. So right now it's untitled. I'm going to give it a name. I'll just call this as example spreadsheet. Okay. Is the spelling correct? Spreadsheet, yeah. Now, the first thing you can notice which differentiates it, and this is very important for you noting, are the columns and rows. All right. A table structure only can get created if you have columns and rows. So I can take a lot of text from here, for example, anything, just randomly selecting a little, go back to my spreadsheet, and within one cell, I can put that information, right? Now, what just happened? I have not copied the entire thing into the spreadsheet. If I put it, just do a Control V, it may do a little alignment, one per line. All right. It is all about storing information, but for us, there are only three most important things to begin with: your rows, your columns, and a specific cell. One cell at a time. Let's undo this. And here's your base. What you will notice slowly, team, is that you can create multiple sheets. We have one sheet right now. I can rename it if I want to. So I just right clicked on it and I'm going to rename it to, what do we call this? First sheet. All right. Just renamed it to what we want. As you go across, you will notice that a lot of sheets are named in a strategic way. When I'm saying words like strategic and so on, team, it's primarily a structure and a discipline through which companies implement their work, the projects, and so on. So these small strategies play a very, very important role. So we've named our sheet. I have how many rows, team? I can see till 18, but if you scroll down, there are unlimited number of rows. I believe In Microsoft Excel, you can have up to 64,000 rows in a sheet. I think that is the limit of the number of rows in a Microsoft Excel. What is it that we want to store? We want to store data. What kind of a data? Let us say that I want to write down the names of my student who are attending this webinar. So I'll write first column as name. Okay. When I hit a tab out here, I go on to the next column. Okay. What do I put here? Let's say I put student ID. Right. And let me put a few names. Can I take the names from the audience itself? I have Aditya. Oops. I can type. Aditya. I'll say student ID is 1. Then Henry. Student ID is 2. Aisha. 3. Jasper. 4. Janisa. Give me a minute. I'm just still looking at the names and putting it. I'll just put 5, 6. Janisa. Oopsie. Back here. Janisa. 5 and Lavanya. 6. The first thing that you'll notice, team, is it has already got some structure. See how neatly it is visible for us, information. The same information, if I put it into a notepad, right, it may show you some kind of a structure to it on how it is organized, but it will not give you the columns, the rows. It will not show you as is. You have to visually know it. The most important things is I'm putting data under columns. I have 2 columns here, name and a student ID. Why am I putting this? So anytime I want to be able to refer a student with a specific information, I have it in this table. Okay. I can then create, so let's rename this and say this is student IDs. Okay. Now I could add more content to it, like an email, a phone, maybe a country. What is it that I get to do with such kind of an information? What can we play around? It is nothing but representation of data. Remember that. Okay. This information technology is all about data. It is information. How do we play around with information? When you look at tools like methodologies like AI, machine learning, deep learning, or even data sciences, where data presentation is taking very prime importance, it is all about data and information. That's it. There's nothing else. All that IT industry ever needed was a spreadsheet. It did not require anything beyond it for all practical purposes. But there are certain areas where it stops to being effective. So we will explore a lot of that. All right. The most simplest things that it can do are called formulas. Formulas help me to identify something about my data. It gives me certain information. Like what? Let us say I want to know the count of the number of students. I hope there is one. This is filtered. There will be formulas. Here is where I'll start to write a formula. I remember, so I'm telling your team, and as we keep writing more formulas, you will start knowing it. Okay, you know it now because I'm showing it. There's no book or a catalog. As you keep practicing, you'll know. Once I hit an equal to, see, my selection is on B8. Why did I say this is B8? It is column B and row 8. I don't know how many of you people have played chess, but for the 64 pieces on chess, we have each number. So 8 columns and 8 rows, right? The same out here, where we talk about a cell by using the column number and the row number. So for B8, I want to write something that gives me the count of these. So let us say equals it should start to show me all the formulas that are associated starting with C. The first thing I wrote is an equal to sign. Okay, and what I want to do is count. So it should be able to take me till a count. See, there you go. Now look at the variations in count itself. Count, count A, count if, count CD, I don't know, coupons. There's so many of them, right? We're focusing on the basic one. Now what I have to do next is what Google Sheet is guiding you. Count from where to where. I have to give a range, team. Okay, I have to give a range of the columns. So example A1 to A2 to A100. B. Why do I need comma? Do I need a comma? No. Optional. Oh, okay. Okay. See, let's read this thing. This is your help guide that is available for all of us on Google Drive. First, it's telling me that this is the format through which I have to use. Count, open square brackets, value 1, comma, then value 2, and so on. So if I'm just counting 1, then I can just say A2 to A100. But if I want to count multiple columns, I can keep adding after a comma. That's what it's saying. See, it returns the number of numeric values in a data set. All right. The first value of range to consider when counting, that is value 1. Value 2 is optional. That is the keyword. And this is also an introduction to what you will see to programming. Some things are mandatory, some things are optional. But it is optional. What it means is not mandatory for me to put that information. I just need to give one range right now. Let me look at my range. Okay, it's actually still trying to select as I click on it. So this is my starting range. I'll put my shift, use the and give the end range. It basically is saying B2 to B7. I'm going to close this bracket. And that's my count. Now what happens is, let us say I insert one student in between, right? And let me take another name, please. Nita. Oopsie, what did I do? Nita is now 5. But see, I have to change everything again. See, the student IDs, I have changed it, right? But my count is working. How will I change my student IDs? What if I want to give student IDs in a serial number ways, like integers, start with 1, actually whole numbers, so that the count starts with 1 and goes on till the last one. The best way for me to handle that is doing another small formula. Let me zoom the sheet a little bit so you have better visibility on what I'm doing. So this is my count. So for this, I'll write total students. Right? That tells me how many students are there in total. I can play around a lot and make it much more presentable, and that's very critical. So let's give some small simple shades, right? And here let's give it another shade. I play around a lot with gray team. That way it gives a nice contrast to the look of it. So I have dark gray and as a background and very light gray as the font color. The other thing I can do on an Excel sheet that gives a lot of good visibility is borders to your tables. So you see very thin borders, almost non-visible, very gray. But then if you go here and select that I want all the borders, it would put it in a much more neater way. So you can change things on borders, border sizes, how you want. There are a lot of things that you could do on it, but primarily this is increasing our visibility of data. Let's say the names, I want it under a different color. There. So now I have information that is much more subtle. I don't want this to be blue now. I want it to be in the same fashion as this. I can use that format painter again that you remember we used from Google Sheets, Google Docs, and put it onto this. So it'll get that base format to it. Now my total students is correct, but this order in which as I enter is incorrect. How do I change it? The best way is to tell that, hey, my next row will be one more than my previous row. What do I mean? B3 equals, this is B3, column B, row 3, equals B2 plus 1. How do I do that? I can go here to the formula bar and do it, or I can even do it here. I don't have to go there. Equals, click on this cell above it and say plus 1. So now we are using a little bit of mathematics in it to calculate, to be able to give out some information. This is one step at a time incremental. We are adding 1 to the previous one. So now let's see. That's 2. That's good. But how about the others? What do I do? Should I have to go and copy and do it individually for each of them? No. Here is where the logic is very important, even how Google Sheets or Excel sheets work. It is basically telling me that B2 plus 1. Do you see this? Focus here, B2 plus 1, right? If I copy this and look at this cell now, this cell is B4 and this value 3. If I just copy this cell, so let me do it again, Control C and put it here, it will copy the formula. The formula is not always going to be B2 plus 1. The formula basically that we put is the cell above me, I will add 1 to it. That's what we're doing. So I can just copy that formula and apply it to all here. And it will take care of it. So I don't have to individually rewrite a formula. So once you set a formula, you can apply it to everything under it. Now let's say I want to introduce 3 more students. Just for now, I will say, can I use just variables like X, Y, and Z? Now my formula C, it's gone, right? There's nothing there. What retained? At least the coloring, table borders, those came nicely. But I have blank spaces here, right? And formula is not getting carried forward. What do? Copy it again. Copy it onto all of them if you want to, just those. Actually, I have to copy it into all of them now. Still, there you go. So your formula gets easily copied. Now there are 10 students in total, right? Let's talk about doing some more mathematics. For this, let's say, let's put some numbers to it. Numbers that are more revenue related. Because a lot of industry focus is all about generating revenue. Remember that. That is the bottom line for any organization. 1 second. Let's put a column called fees paid. All right. Now, as you go on, team, notice how I'm giving the names also. So student ID, the way I gave it, is not student space ID, but as one word. Okay, and that is fine. Fees paid are 2 words. I can use space, or I can combine them, or I can make it as different. Oopsie, where did I go? And the quick shortcut to editing a cell, team, instead of having to double click and do, is just go to the cell and hit F2. Wow, my F2 is to volume. Okay, there you go. What did I do? Where did you go? Oh, I think I hit F1. Function F1 will take you for help. Here F function key is also critical, team. F1, F2 and F5. These are basic. F1 is help, F2 is edit, F5 is refresh. All right. So if you want to refresh anything, you use F5. A lot more functions. F11, F2, I think Windows up and down. Okay, cool. So fees paid. I can also do it as camel case. Now it depends on the program, but since it's a very basic Excel, I'm keeping it simple. Okay. Let's talk about different fees paid by different members, team. I'm going to take some random numbers. I'm just going to start putting. That's student Y. I'm bad at generating random numbers in my brain, so sorry about that. All right, so now see, we're getting to a larger table. Okay, I want more visibility. So what I'm going to do is I'm not focusing on columns C, D, and E as of now. As your data increases, you need to be focusing on a narrower set of it. You can't look at everything. Sometimes you need to look at fewer things. So I've selected the columns. How did I do that? I clicked on E, then I used Shift key. So when I clicked on E, it's selected the entire column called E. Then I use the Shift key and do a left arrow. So it's selecting column D and E and C as well. Now I'm going to right click and say hide columns. Hide basically is hiding it from view. Whenever you want, you could unhide them. But I don't want to view these columns as of now. That is what it is. So I hide these columns and I just have 3 columns very neatly organized to be able to view. Now see, comes more. I can't see this last row, right? And if I'm going down, I can't see the top row. How do I fix this thing? One is I can just minimize this. Of course, it will show me now both. Or what we do is called freezing specific rows. How much ever I scroll, I want the row 1 to be there as is. Why? Because let us say I copy this, right click, copying them, and I'll go a little above, click on 1, right click and say I copied, right? What happened? Okay, insert, what one above? No, I'm just trying to add more rows to it. Let me do this. Right click, insert 6 above. Okay. I'm going to copy the same data team for now. There'll be duplicates, but just to show you presentation and how we need to freeze. See, now came a small challenge team. Okay, let me first fix the view and then we'll come to this. All right, let me minimize this. I don't need it right now. I still don't see the head or foot of this. You understand the header and footer concept in Word that we did earlier? Where wherever I go, my header will be there. Wherever I go, my footer will be there. It's got to be constantly visible for us. Okay, that's one set of documentation. It's coming to spreadsheets. What we'll need to do is first be able to freeze these rows. The way we freeze the row is, you see this gray, darker gray line between both of these. I can drag this and say I want this row to be frozen. If I now see what happens when I scroll, do you notice that? So that stays intact and I can see everything else that I want. So even if I have hundreds of data, when I scroll down, I can look at Jasper student ID and fees paid, email, whatever I want. So I've frozen the first row. That is what I've done right now. You can also go to menu and I think it will be in view, freeze, 1 row, 2 rows up to current row 14. It's also giving you option to freeze rows and columns. I'll tell you about columns also. But let's say I want 2 rows. Now let's see how it shifts. It's gone to the second one. And I can have something like this. Why would I want to freeze 2 rows? 1 row is what I have, right? In cases, hello, I dropped you. Okay. In cases, let's say I'll insert 1 above. I will want to write something about my company here, iTeLearn. Now, I want this to be there for across all columns as common. I don't want it to be on one cell. And this is the very specific feature that plays a vital role in your data organization team. It is called merging of fields. One data is shown in multiple cells. Why do we merge? So that to say that all these columns, name, student ID, everything is under ITLearn. If I just put ITLearn in the first column, then I'll say that, oh, it's just about name. I want this to be associated with everything, and that's called merging. Do you see this here, team? Merge cells. This is the one we will use. It may give us a warning when we say merge if it has data that it is losing. I'll talk about merging of data and how we're losing it, but primarily the merge feature lets you combine one or two or more cells into one cell. Okay, so it is just one cell. Now I'll just say center align this. Okay, I want to see this center, and maybe I'll change the color for this. I may go a little red, not too red, but a little red. Then I have to change the font to black, might be better. Okay, and I will increase the font. Control Shift, increase is not working. So 18. Right now, what happens is that's why I had to freeze 2 rows. Now, do you understand, team? If I just had 1 row, then I didn't have to freeze both. Now that I have 2 rows which are relevant, I've frozen them both, and I can continue to see that. Now let's fix this issue. What is this? What is the issue first that has come? Okay, little technical, but not really too much technical. It's just simple logic. When I inserted new rows, the formula also got copied, but it's unable to link that formula correctly. It is whenever you see in spreadsheet, you don't want to see this because it basically says a formula is broken. When you see #ref, that a reference to a formula is broken. Somewhere there's a reference issue. There is a small short code from Excel to say that, hey, something is broken. All I have to do is recopy that formula into the cells that are affected. Maybe for all of them so that the formula stays intact. And I have 16 students. Now let's talk about some more logics. What can I do with this number? Think about all the variations of how I can look at this numbers, team. I need to maybe unzoom a little. Zoom out. Yeah, zoom out. Don't need this. Okay, I have a little bit. I'm trying to generate as much space of visibility as I can. What is it I can do, team, with these fields? I can add and find out the total revenue. I can do a lot of mathematical calculations, team. Now let's see. Let's go straight out here. Okay. This is total, I'll say. This is for students, I know. This is for revenue. This equals sum of, you saw the formula for count. I started writing count and it gave it sum of what all numbers. If I want specific numbers, I can say like this. This plus this plus this. Okay, so this is a specific count. How do I say? Only specific numbers I've added, but if I want to add all the numbers in a given range, I use the formula equals sum of. I can see here and tell team what it is. I don't have to go. It is from F3 to F18. F3 to F18. And I'm going to hit the enter. I should be now getting the total revenue. But again, I have one more challenge. See, student ID is a number. Cool, no problem. My fees paid is also a number, but it doesn't look that attractive. It looks like a number. Unless I look at this, it doesn't tell me that, oh, it's a currency. What you could do with Excel is do a lot of formatting of data. When I say data formatting, how we represent it. Let us talk about, for example, a date or a time, or currencies or weight. We're talking about units, some units, right? Some format in which we will write. That is what we're going to try here. So for that, here you go, see, more formats. There are standard formats and there are more formats. I'll talk about a lot of these formats as we keep going. Why is it giving me in pounds? It is currency, but I don't want it in pounds. More formats, more currencies. It's dollar. There you go. Now I see it in dollar. Now, did you notice, team, when I entered the data like 23, 34, 56, for 23 and 34, I never used decimals. But for 56.60, I wrote it as 56.6, I believe. What it did is it applied 2 digits after the decimal to every number when I change it to currency. So when I said that I want these data to be dollar, I selected that and I went here and I said that, hey, I want it as US dollar. Okay. Now these are the other different types of formats that we will slowly expose ourselves. In this, decimals are critical. How many decimals we want? What the cool thing that Excel or Google Sheet does is it lets you round numbers off. So I can say that I want only 1 decimal. So I'll decrease it. So it'll round. Oops, this is only for 1. We're trying to do it for the entire range. So select this. And I want to just see 1 decimal. So I just delete this. It will round it to the closest one, either to the next number or to down. If I don't want any decimals, then take it out completely. If I want to add decimals, then you can bring it back. So it is, data is present, it is there, it is called raw data. Be formatted and bring it into a shape that is much more easier usable for us. Okay. Now let's say I also want to take the average of this. What is an average? Sum is nothing but the total of it, right? What are we talking about by saying average? Average is the sum of it divided by the count of it. So I can say the average is equals this number, which is my sum, divided by this number, which is the total number of students. And it says that it is 398.55. And I'm sure that there is a formula inbuilt for a lot of these. Average, the way I did it, let's use the formula. Now, what do I mean by formula? Equals AVG, is it? Average. Wait, average. Value, okay, same one. See, I just have to give the range and it is optional. I can select multiple columns, but I'm taking only one. So this is going to be F2, no, F3 to F18. See, I used one upper F and one lower F. It should not be a problem, I assume, but be very careful in this uppercase, lowercase. Okay, there you go. Let's look at both these formulas once again. Average, as a logic that we use in mathematics, is sum of all the numbers by total number, total count of this. Okay, I did it by taking this number and dividing it by the total count. Or did someone join? Thank you. Can you go on mute, please, whoever joined? Thank you. Or we could use the inbuilt formula. Now, I thought the formula was actually something like this. There's my notepad. I thought this is how it will be, equals AVG, and I give the range F3 to F18. Okay. But when I started to type, it gave me the syntax. When I say it, Google Sheet gave me that this is the syntax for it. Okay, and I could quickly implement that. So these tools are user-friendly. They are not built to complicate things. They are made to simplify things. But at the same time, it is critical for us to learn them in a right manner and then organize everything so it's very easy for presentation, easy for calculations, and so on. Now, there are a lot of things that we could do. You could do highest in that range, lowest in that range, and so on. But one of the most important things of data is presentation, right, team? So right now, I'm looking at this information as a table. What if I want to look at this data from far away and still be able to get some analysis? What is it that we could do? So let's say I take this range. Okay, this is my total, right? This is the range of fees paid, and I'm gonna okay selection. Okay, I'm selecting my data, not the header, not the footer with formulas, just my code data. And now we will talk about graphs team. It is a way of representing data. I think it will be here. Insert chart, charts and graphs. Charts and graphs basically gives us the ability to look at data in a visual manner. All right, that is the phenomenal beauty that Excel gives. You won't get this in a Microsoft Word unless you embed data like this. I can give that range V1 to F18, that's what we gave, and it will tell us what we want to see in which axis T. Okay, the first thing I see is scatter chart type. You have different ways of representing data. This is like a scattered dots only to represent. Then we have bar graphs, line graphs, you'll have pie graphs, and so on. You can represent data in multiple manner as long as you have the starting core raw data. Once the raw data is decently organized, Excel will help you through it. Let's see if I try this line. This is how it is looking. What if I want to try something like column chart? This is good too. See, this representation is basically telling me what information. This becomes like a embeddable item in your sheet. So see, it's here. I could click on it and resize it so it's visible for me and move it wherever I want and put it in the Excel. So I'll say I want to keep it here. Now I have raw data here and I have specifically organized data in a graph manner. This is a bar graph. Where is this edit? Okay, there you go. So chart style we've seen, or I didn't look at chart setup. Let's go to column chart. Stacking, I don't even know what that is, team. But I sure for know that I need two things. I need an x-axis, which is the horizontal, and I need a y-axis, which is vertical. What is it that I have in the x-axis? Student IDs is there. Okay, that's what we put there. What is it that I'm having in y-axis? Fees paid. So student 1 paid only this much. If I take my mouse over, I can see value. Let us see who paid the maximum in here. Looks like this 665.23, 678, 678. So just visually, I'm able to quickly look at data and make some intelligent business decisions as to, oh, you know what? I think I should get my average price here. Some information like that. Now I could click on specific ones and focus a lot more. See, let's look at color. If I change this, will it change for everything? Yeah. So I can change the colors to something that. Okay, so this is how you are able to collate and interpret intelligent data, or rather interpret data to make some intelligent business decisions. Now there are a lot more things in an Excel that we'll keep viewing, but it's all about data representation. One of the other things is sorting. I want to sort them certain times in a specific manner. Let's say in increasing revenue, if I want to sort this data, I just click on this field, or let's say fees paid, go to view, no, data, sort, sheet by column A to Z, column F, A to Z. What does it mean? It will sort the entire sheet for column F. A to Z is basically in increasing order, A being first, Z being next. If it is a number, it will take it in an increasing order. So if I say this, see what happened. The problem was I had these rows right at the end, team, and it's trying to sort even these. I don't want to sort row 19, 20, 21 anymore. I don't want to. So maybe I can just select that range and then say sort data. Column A, no, it's column F. Again, it's messing it up. No. The better alternate, which I can do is, let's duplicate the sheet. Okay, right click on the sheet. I'm going to duplicate it. Now this copy of student IDs that is generated, right? Data is hidden columns is excluded from the chart. Include data in hidden columns. Okay. Okay, so both, everything got copied the way it is. I'm going to delete this thing because see what happens. I'll tell you. The format should be set prior to putting this information. So you don't want to filter, sort, and do all these things later. You want to be able to do it at the beginning itself. So there's my chart. I can move it here. Okay, move it even more up. So, come on. I can change this also. It's given its own title, fees paid versus student ID. I can also say I want the name. It is what data you want, we need to be organizing on that. Now what I'm doing, team, I'm going to select this again. Actually, let's just do fees paid, data, sort column F, A to Z. Now it would have sorted even names, I believe. See, Lavanya 678, 678, 15, 16. Student IDs then, did it sort? Let's compare Y 111, Y is 111. Yeah, I think it did. Now I can, since I'm knowing that this is how I want data to be there, I can add total, I can add average equals quickly sum of range F3 to F18 easily. Average equals average F3 to F18, and there you go. Now what happened to the sheet of mine, this graph? Why is it looking so different? Why is it suddenly looking like, hey, it can't even make sense? What is this long one? It has also got that fees paid into it, and the last one, average, it's saying fees paid for everything, but I don't want these last two columns in my formula, sorry, in my graph. So I'm going to double click and say B1 to F20. No, F18 is fine. There you go. Now even my data is organized in ascending order. But anytime you want to represent, you want to look at your data, you have both these options, as a table and as a graph. Okay, so team, there is a little bit more on spreadsheets that I want to cover, but I thought maybe I'll take a quick break. The next feature is called filter. Filter is very, very critical, team. As we have more and more rows getting added, it is the ability to see data very clearly. Create new filter view. What is this? No, I don't want filter view. Just want to filter it. Where is filter? There. What it basically tells is I can view and select data the way I want. Let us say I want to see only specific student. I will clear all, and let's say I say Andre. I just want to see Andre. Say okay. I'm not interested in looking at any other data, and that's all it will show me. So filter is filtering the data or information and narrowing it down to show something very focused. So now let me reset this filter. Select all and say okay. So back to where it is. Where can I use filters? Let's expand these. So these were the columns that we hid. Let us say the phone numbers only for few of them. Okay, some random numbers, team. I hope this guy chart didn't get messed up again. Okay, and I'll I'll look into this chart later. Now, what is it that I want to show by filter? Let us say I want to see all the students who don't have a phone number. What does that mean? It's going to be blank, the contents of it, right? So I'll first clear everything and say that I only want to look at blanks. Say okay. Now my filter view is changed to only the students with blank phone numbers, and I'll say, hey, why do you have blank phone numbers? Let's quickly send them an email and say that I'm looking at blank numbers. I need to see them. Same thing with country. Okay, I'm going to copy it all. Oopsie, not all. Oh, I see now that I'm doing copy paste. You don't want to apply any filters, team. So I'm going to select all and say okay, and let's put some UK country. Let's put some US. All right, I have two countries now. The same thing out here. I want to see everyone from UK, for example. I'll just select this. It'll only show me UK. If I want to see everyone from US only, and I don't even want to suggest blacks, okay, and I see everyone from the US. So this is how your data and information can be stored and very nicely presented in intelligent manner. When I come back, team, in the next session, I will guide you a lot more towards what we can do further on the spreadsheet and how we can take this information, put it into your Google Sheet and organize everything. Any questions so far, team? I have another session that I'm planning to do after this, maybe after a short break, but I don't know if we have so much appetite today itself for that. If that's fine, we can end the training for today and meet tomorrow and go through the topics that we planned out. Or I take another 15 minutes break and I come back to the session. Either is fine, team. What would you vote for? What did we do? So we need to do a little bit of PowerPoint. That will be fast. I won't focus too much on PowerPoint, but at least the basic aesthetics and how we design and do it, I will surely cover that. And tomorrow we have web development, HTML, CSS. This should be fast as well. Any questions so far, team? When you start the formulas, you need to write equal to at the beginning. Correct. You're absolutely right. So anytime I want to write a formula, let us say I have three numbers. Okay, A, B, C. Okay, and let's say I have 10, 20, 30 as numbers. Just to do a formula, I just say equal to sum of this range. I'll put it easily. So very quickly we can get. So this is our sum. So you just have to write equal to, and you start writing the formula after that. All right, everyone, give me about 10-15 minutes. I will send out a message on GoToWebinar if I'm able to do another session right after 15-20 minutes, or for sure we're catching up tomorrow again. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye for now.